Hey guys, Matt Lighty here, and today I'm going to be talking about the development manifesto for harvest crafting. Now, I was just messaged by someone who I guess I'll just name anonymous on Discord, saying, "Hey Lighty, you made a video about the harvest manifesto," and I was like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." Like, oh, some people are, super salty because, they got their panties in a twist. So here I am checking it out. As this is happening, literally behind me, I show it. Where am I going? This way? Oh, the box behind me is from Newegg. It has all my PC parts. It just arrived 5 minutes ago, so this is very last minute. Okay, I'm just gonna read along, and we're gonna look at this a lot more than I feel like there needs to be, but we'll look at it together. Making some changes to harvest with the release of something. People think it's easy to craft near perfect items. They don't like the vibe, and they want it to be changed. Using currency like Exalted and Chaos Orbs in your gear is powerful, risky, and exciting way to improve it. Sometimes, how to integrate Harvest into the core game. Harvest crafting allowed the creation of some ridiculous items. Yep, then release the integrated version where players will encounter the grove full of crafts and hope they get the most value of the deterministic crafts they were offered. We hope this would still keep the most valuable crafting options available while limiting the most abusive crafting to just very lucky or successful players. Let's just that was never going to happen unless you make the items essentially soulbound. No one thought that except for you. Not sure why. That was pretty much out the get-go. Everyone assumed that, well, you're just going to trade the crafts. Why wouldn't you? Unless they prevent that, nothing fucking changes, but here we are. Listen, I'm a solo self-found player. Everyone knows this through and through. My opinion is heavily weighted. I'm built like the sandbag in fucking Smash Bros. People still made ridiculous items, even though the crafts were supposed to feel rare. Well, that's all this is so subjective to the experience of who you're talking to, right? I mean, I know people who have played hundreds of hours and have never found augment speed, for example, from Harvest, yet they're saying that you could make some insane items. Of course you can, certain ones, but guess what? The best items still require the hardest crafts to obtain, and even then could take hundreds of even thousands of hours to make. The issue is that this is in a trade league setting, so if you're balancing around that, you're fucked from the get-go. And saying the second issue is that players felt overwhelmed to get so many crafting options. Who's overwhelmed because they get so much free shit? Entitled people, I assume. I don't know. I wouldn't know because I don't feel that way. If I wake up and I have 20 presents on Christmas, all I'm doing is thanking Muhammad, Santa, Jesus, and the Easter Bunny, whoever gave me a gift. I'm not saying, oh my god, it's too much. This is an interesting sentence. The entire rest of Path of Exile's crafting system is somewhat redundant when Harvest crafting is in its current form. I would disagree with that, and I wouldn't say it's redundant. I would say they're conjunctive. They go in tandem. An example would be most crafts begin outside of Harvest and then progress through it. A good example of this would be crafting any sort of gear that requires a high base stat, int, strength, dex. You get that from targeting with essence. Then you take the item and you temper it down through things like harvest, or maybe annulments, or maybe even fracturing it through harvest, and then you can craft it up past that. But once you still have to start somewhere. So this isn't like a catch-all system. It never was. But again, you're viewing it through the eyes of a scope versus what it actually is, which is like a kaleidoscope. When you focus on the negative and you focus on the constraints of what they say the crafting system is, of course that's what you see. I love this. At its core, Path of Exile is a game about the acquisition of powerful items. I mean, it is, as the company says, grinding gear games. It is a game in which you grind for gear. And currently it's more like crafting gear games, which I feel like is fair. Granted, you're still grinding for the crafts. It's without saying that you don't just enter in a toll and you have a 6-2-1 item. It still takes thousands of hours, and if not, you're still purchasing the crafts. Guess what? That takes thousands of hours to get that currency. There's no aspect of the system that doesn't remove you grinding intensely unless you're dropping a PayPal, certain websites. No matter what, you're grinding somewhere, whether it's coming from grinding the crafting materials to craft or grinding for the currency to purchase the craft. You're still grinding. It's just you're just changing your avenue. If anything, Harvest does, it just cuts out the middleman and introduces a new one, which is a shitty Discord server. So here's the big moment. Upcoming changes. Every seed in a patch granted an instance... Wait, what? Previously, every seed in a patch granted an instance of that seed's craft. Now only some of the seeds do, so you get far fewer of the crafts that are overwhelming people with their again, who? So annulments are removed, the non-mod is removed, all specific divine types are removed. That's fine. I think that anyone who really crafted extensively in Harvest, in Trade, or in Soul 7 would agree that the strongest aspect of Harvest was the targeted annuls. Crafts that add mods, so exalteds, can now only be applied to non-influence items. That's fair. So you can craft an insane item and then you can hopefully slam an influence mod afterwards. It still leads to pretty insane results. I mean, getting +1 spells and 90, whatever, other crazy fizz weapons, that's still all within the realm. Sacred Grove has been increased by 60%. So they are balancing it by removing the things that are, I would say, arguably the more obscene, which is targeting annulments and letting you exalt on influence bases. And then by, balancing that out, they're increasing the actual rate of the sacred growth. And then they made Oshabi into a fragment because, when in doubt, make content into fragments. That's just like their love for making bosses. That way you could trade it, and that's fair enough. Overall, this is undoubtedly a heavy nerf to high-end crafting, but we strongly believe that this is Path of Exile's best interests going forward, that there are still a lot of compelling harvest crafts that make the Grove worth running in any point in map progression. Correct. Is it a nerf to crafting through Harvest? Yes. Were we all on borrowed time since Harvest when we had this? Of course. I don't think any player who honestly saw Harvest implementation didn't think, well, this is going to be a little bit ridiculous and this is going to get nerfed and let's just enjoy it while it lasts. I would say that was the viewpoint of the more veteran players, is that this is clearly going to get nerfed because it was ridiculous then, just as ridiculous now. Let's just have fun with it while we can. That's kind of where I stand. I had fun with it while I can. I'm going to continue to have fun with it in Ritual. And then come next league, it'll be not as good, but still be totally obscene in many ways, and that'll be fine too. You're playing a game where you intensely grind for gear and progression. And if you're complaining because your game got a little bit slower, maybe pick a new game. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the Harvest Manifesto. And feel free to drop your complaints. I'd love to see them so I could gloss over them. Anyway, that's my hot take, if you want to call it that. I'm Matt Lighty, and I'll see you guys next time. My PC should be fixed tonight, so that'll be fun. So I'll catch you guys on stream, hopefully, and get back to that. Maybe we'll have maybe like a sub drive, and I'll sell my body for cash. Anyway, catch you guys later. Bye-bye.